The Sunday roast was perfect. Mom had set out her good china, and the dining room smelled like rosemary and garlic. 12 family members crowded around the table. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. And at the center of attention as always, was my older sister Jessica and her husband Brad. I sat near the kitchen door cutting my pot roast into small pieces, listening. "So we have exciting news," Jessica announced, standing up with her wine glass like she was giving a toast. "Brad got transferred to the city. We're moving back home." Everyone cheered. Grandma clasped her hands together in delight. "And the best part," Jessica continued, beaming at me, "is that Amber has that beautiful 3-bedroom house with the guest room. We'll be staying there while we look for our own place. Isn't that perfect?" I stopped chewing. Mom looked at me expectantly. "Isn't that wonderful, Amber? You'll have family close by again." "We're moving in next week," Brad added. "I start the new job Monday after next, so we need to get settled quickly. Amber, we'll need keys by Wednesday so we can start bringing boxes over." My fork clinked against the plate. "I don't remember agreeing to this." Jessica laughed, that tinkling sound she used when dismissing me. "Oh, Amber, don't be silly. You have all that extra space. It's not like you use those rooms anyway. And it'll be nice having company. You're always alone in that big house." "It's a 3-bedroom house," I said carefully. "Not exactly a mansion." 3 bedrooms for one person is excessive," Aunt Carol chimed in. "Your sister and Brad need help getting established. Family helps family." "How long would you be staying?" I asked. Jessica waved her hand vaguely. "A few months. Maybe 6. The housing market is crazy right now. We need time to find the perfect place." 6 months. My sister and her husband taking over my house for 6 months. "We'll chip in for groceries," Brad said like that settled everything. "And we're neat. You won't even know we're there." Jessica had been neat growing up. Her neatness involved me cleaning up after her while she took credit. "I don't think," I started. "It's already decided," Dad interrupted. "We told them they could stay with you. Your mother and I don't have space anymore since we converted the spare room to Dad's office. Your house is the logical choice." "You told them they could stay in my house?" My voice stayed level. "Without asking me?" "We're asking now," Mom said, her tone suggesting I was being difficult. "Surely you're not going to say no to your own sister?" Around the table faces watched me, waiting for me to do what I always did. Agree, comply, accommodate. "The thing is," I said slowly, "I don't think it would work out." Jessica's smile tightened. "Why not? Do you have a boyfriend we don't know about? Are you secretly married?" She laughed. "Amber doesn't even date. She works at that little accounting firm and goes home. The house just sits there empty." "I work at Morrison & Lee," I corrected. "I'm a senior financial analyst." "Right, whatever." Jessica dismissed it. "The point is you have the space. We need the space. Problem solved." "I'm not comfortable with it," I said. The temperature in the room dropped. "Not comfortable?" Dad's voice hardened. "Your sister needs help and you're not comfortable?" "We let you stay with us all through college," Mom added, her eyes getting watery. 4 years, Amber. 4 years we supported you, gave you a room, fed you. And now you won't give Jessica a few months." That wasn't quite accurate. They'd let me live at home during community college, but I'd paid rent, $400 a month, and bought my own groceries. Jessica had gone to state school, fully funded by our parents, lived in a dorm, came home with laundry every weekend. "I just don't think." "You're being selfish," Aunt Carol stated. "Honestly, Amber, you've always been the difficult one. Your sister is trying to build a life and you're standing in her way." My cousin Tyler, who'd been scrolling his phone, looked up. "Wait, didn't Amber just buy that house? Like recently?" 2 years ago, I confirmed. "How do you afford that?" Tyler asked, genuinely curious. "Houses in that neighborhood are like $400,000. "I saved," I said simply. Jessica snorted. "She got lucky. Probably some first-time buyer program. Those houses are tiny anyway. Ours will be much bigger when we buy." Brad nodded. "We're looking at the new development in Westbrook. Starting at $650,000. Much better investment." "So you can afford a $650,000 house but need to live in mine rent-free?" I asked. "We're saving for the down payment," Brad said as if explaining to a child. That's the whole point. If we don't have to pay rent for 6 months, we can save an extra $15,000. Exactly, Jessica said. See? You'd be helping us buy our dream home. That's what family does. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, a notification from my mortgage company's app. The automatic payment had processed. $0 due. Paid in full 3 months ago. I'd paid off a $400,000 mortgage in 22 months. The thing is, I said, setting down my fork, I don't want roommates. I bought my house to live in it alone. I worked very hard to afford it and I value my privacy and space. You worked hard. Jessica's voice rose. Brad and I both have degrees. We both work full-time. You think you're the only one who works hard. I didn't say that. You implied it. Jessica's face was flushed now. You've always thought you were better than me. Smarter than me. But guess what? You work at some boring accounting firm making what, $50,000 a year? Brad makes $85,000. We're doing just fine. I'm sure you are, I said. Then why can't we stay with you for a few months? Her voice turned pleading. Amber, please. I'm your sister. We need this. Everyone was looking at me. Waiting. No, I said quietly. I'm sorry, but no. The explosion was immediate. Dad's fist hit the table. Mom started crying. Aunt Carol launched into a speech about family values and generosity. Jessica called me heartless, selfish, cold. Brad just stared at me with narrowed eyes. You're really going to do this? Make us waste money on rent when you have empty rooms? They're not empty, I said. One's my office. One's my gym. They're not guest rooms, they're my spaces that I use. A home gym. Jessica laughed harshly. You don't even work out. You're just making excuses. I stood up, reaching for my purse. I think I should go. Don't you dare leave this table, Dad commanded. We're not finished discussing this. There's nothing to discuss. My answer is no. Then you're not welcome here, Mom said, tears streaming. If you can't help your own sister, if you're going to be this selfish, then don't bother coming to family dinners anymore. The words hung in the air. Hey, I said. I won't. I walked to the door, grabbed my coat. Grandma's voice stopped me. Amber, honey, wait. I turned. She was the only one not looking at me with anger or disappointment. Is that really your final answer? She asked gently. You won't reconsider? It's my final answer, Grandma. I'm sorry. She nodded slowly. Then I think there's something these folks need to understand. She looked at Jessica. What makes you think you have any right to your sister's house? Jessica blinked. She has extra space. We're family. And? Grandma prompted. And family shares. Did Amber offer to share? Well, no, but. Then you assumed you could take what's hers. Grandma's voice was still gentle but firm. That's not sharing, sweetheart. That's demanding. Whose side are you on? Mom asked, shocked. I'm on the side of common sense. Grandma looked at me. How much did your house cost, Amber? $400,000. And you put down? 20%. $80,000. The room went quiet. You had $80,000 for a down payment? Tyler said. Doing accounting? Financial analysis, I corrected. Corporate consulting, actually. I analyze investment portfolios and business acquisitions for high-net-worth clients. What do you make? Brad demanded. That's not really. What do you make? He repeated. Last year, $240,000. You could have heard a pin drop. Jessica's mouth opened and closed. That's not possible. You're lying. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app and held it up. The screen showed my checking account balance, $340,000, and below it my savings account, $890,000. I got my CFA certification at 24, I explained calmly. I started consulting on the side 3 years ago. Last year I went full-time with Morrison & Lee. I'm one of their top analysts. I work with clients who have 8- and 9-figure portfolios. Brad's face had gone pale. But you drive a Honda. A 2019 Honda Accord. Paid cash. It's reliable. You dress like, Jessica gestured at my simple sweater and jeans. Like someone who doesn't need to impress anyone, I finished. I bought my house with cash 2 years ago. Well, I took the mortgage for tax purposes initially, but I paid it off early. No debt. No car payment. No financial stress. Mom was shaking her head. Why didn't you tell us? I tried. You never listened. At last year's Thanksgiving, I mentioned landing a major client. Dad said that was nice and changed the subject to Jessica's promotion to assistant manager at her retail job. At Christmas, I talked about my CFA certification. Mom asked if that was like a regular accounting degree. I stopped trying to share because no one cared. The doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Are we expecting someone? Mom asked. That's probably Marcus, I said, checking my phone. I texted him earlier. Who's Marcus? Dad demanded. I opened the door. Marcus Webb stood there in slacks and a sweater holding a folder. Hey, Amber. Sorry to interrupt dinner. You said it was important. Come in. Everyone, this is Marcus. He's a real estate attorney. Marcus, this is my family. They're under the impression they can move into my house next week without my permission. Marcus's eyebrows rose. He looked at Jessica and Brad. Are you on the deed? No, but, Brad started. Do you have a lease agreement? We're family. Do you have any legal documentation giving you right of residence? Silence. Marcus turned to me. You wanted the property documentation? Please. He opened the folder, pulling out papers. Here's the deed to 847 Oakmont Drive, showing Amber Morrison as the sole owner. Here's the title, clear and unencumbered. Here's the paid-off mortgage statement from 3 months ago. He handed me the papers, then addressed the room. If anyone attempts to move into this property without the owner's explicit written permission, that's trespassing. If they somehow gain entry and refuse to leave, that's unlawful occupation. Both are criminal offenses. Jessica's face was red. This is insane. She's my sister. That's irrelevant to property law, Marcus said simply. He looked at me. Anything else you need? Just one thing. Can you explain what happens if someone tries to claim ownership or residency rights without legal standing? Civil lawsuit for harassment, possible restraining order, criminal charges if they actually move in unauthorized. He pulled out a business card, setting it on the table. If anyone here needs legal clarification, my office hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Thanks, Marcus. I owe you dinner. You paid me very well for that investment property consultation last month. We're even. He nodded to the room. Enjoy your dinner, folks. After he left, the silence was crushing. You brought a lawyer to family dinner? Mom whispered. I brought a lawyer friend to explain property rights since no one here seemed to understand them. We just wanted help, Jessica said, but her voice was small now. You wanted free housing for 6 months. There's a difference. I picked up my purse. For the record, if you'd asked me, actually asked, not announced, I might have helped with first month's rent somewhere. I might have co-signed a lease. I might have done something. But you didn't ask. You assumed. You demanded. You involved the entire family to pressure me. Amber, Dad started. I'm leaving now. Don't contact me unless you're ready to apologize. You're cutting off your family over this? Aunt Carol asked, incredulous. No. You're cutting me off because I wouldn't let you steal my house. I looked at Grandma. Thanks for trying. She smiled sadly. Come see me this week. I make terrible coffee, but I listen well. I will. The next 2 weeks were blissfully quiet. Jessica and Brad found a rental apartment, $1,800 a month, which apparently was outrageous. They started a GoFundMe for help relocating for work, which raised $200 before they took it down. Mom called once not to apologize, but to tell me Jessica was struggling financially because of the rental deposit. I didn't respond. Tyler surprisingly reached out. Dude, that was badass. My parents have been telling me you were the problem my whole life. Turns out you were just successful and quiet about it. Thanks, Tyler. Also, can you explain how you made $240,000? I'm in sales making $60,000 and thought I was doing well. I ended up meeting Tyler for coffee, talking about career paths and financial planning. He was genuinely interested, asked real questions, took notes. You could do consulting work, I told him. You have sales skills. Learn financial products, get licensed. There's money in it. Would you mentor me? I considered it. Yeah, actually, I would. 3 weeks after the dinner, Grandma called. Jessica wants to talk to you. Is she ready to apologize? No. She wants to borrow $10,000 for furniture. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The answer is no. I figured. Your mother's upset. She says you've changed. I haven't changed. I just stopped pretending to be less than I am to make everyone comfortable. Good, Grandma said firmly. You be exactly who you are. Let them catch up or don't. You're doing just fine. A month later, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Brad. Jessica doesn't know I'm reaching out. I wanted to apologize. We were wrong. We assumed things about you, we tried to take advantage, and we acted entitled. I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there any chance we could start over? Not with the housing thing. Just, as family. Maybe. In time. With boundaries. Fair enough. It wasn't much. But it was something. I sat in my home office, the room Jessica wanted to fill with her boxes, and looked at my quarterly earnings report. My consulting business was up 30%. I'd taken on 2 new major clients. I was on track to break $300,000 this year. My house was paid off. My investments were solid. My life was exactly what I'd built it to be. And my guest room stayed empty, exactly as I wanted it. Sometimes family pushes you to be smaller so they can feel bigger. Sometimes they take and take because you keep giving. Sometimes they don't see you at all until you force them to look. I'd spent years being invisible, being underestimated, being dismissed. Not anymore. The mortgage was in my name. The deed was in my name. The life I'd built was mine. And their boxes stayed packed. Somewhere else.